Welcome, Drink with James, episode 97. As you can tell, we're back to whiskey. We had 2 glorious days of spring, and it went straight back to winter. I think I was on the bike the other morning. It was 30 degrees with the wind chill on April 17th, which is frustrating, you know? But this is the penance that you have to pay to live in New York City, you know? I could move to LA, but I'm not a fucking moron, so I'm not gonna do that. So here I am, I endure, I'll get through it. It will be spring, and I will still live in New York City, and that's enough. So the weather has been frustrating this week. Coming up on number 100, we got 3 to go. I am excited about that. It seems kind of crazy. The show continues to grow. We keep having every week is our biggest week ever. So we love that. We had a bunch of guests, which was great. And we don't have any planned, do we? We don't have any planned. So good time to ask y'all again. Throw in the comments who you think should be a guest. Who should we reach out to and ask to be on the show? I only have so much of a purview into what influencers are doing and who's killing it and who y'all think would be really interesting to have on the show. So if there's someone that you think is doing a great job, especially if there's someone that's not one of the normal influencers that everybody's heard of, but if you think that someone's doing a great job, has a point of view that you think it would be interesting for us to have a conversation, throw it in the comments, because I love those shows. And we always need some suggestions on who we should work with. So if you have some, throw it in there. My birthday is coming up. It's also very exciting. I'm going to be 34 though, which is less exciting. But look, every time I go down to Florida, I get more and more Botox. So while I am aging, my face is just moving less and less and less. So, by next year's episode, I'll just be like, how can I drink with James? I'm smiling. So yeah, I haven't totally frozen my face completely, but I'm doing a little bit of preventative Botox, it's nothing to be ashamed of. I'm certainly not ashamed of it. Stick needles in my face all day long, I don't care. I just don't want to look in the mirror and see an old sock, So I am doing my best to avoid that. But I'm going to be 34 years old, which is old. That is just it's not old, but I remember being 16 and I had 30-year-old cousins, and it was just oh my God, they're so old. Could you imagine being 30? And I'm I can. I remember it. It was awesome. But, every year we do a black tie party. So we are having our party this year, which is going to be in a week after you guys see this. 26th floor, looking above New York City, black tie, going to get 150 people there. I don't really know you guys, you're not invited, but a lot of awesome people are, and you will see it on Instagram. If you want to come, you live in New York City, drop me a note. And if I know you, you can come. If I don't know you, it is unlikely that you can come. But maybe send me a reason why you think you should come, and maybe a spot will open up. We'll see. Oh, you know what? I'm struggling with something. I need your help. I tried on a blazer the other day at Drake's. That was incredible, but it was $1,400, which is a lot of money for me. That's a lot of money for anyone, but it is a lot of money for me. I'm not generally spending $1,400 on a fucking blazer. I'm gonna see if they'll let me borrow it for Monday, and I'll wear it. And then you guys have to let me know whether or not I should spend the $1,400. Should I put it on layaway? Should I sell a kidney? It is a pretty magical piece, I will say that. But we'll see if they'll let us borrow the jacket, and we can judge better next time. So that's something to look forward to. And then we can have a conversation about if you should blow all of your disposable income on clothes. Because I am here for that conversation. So. Question number 1, are sponsorship rates in the industry increasing or decreasing? On the whole, I actually don't know. I'll just like start there. I think on the whole they are probably increasing right now not because brands see, so I think they're probably increasing on the whole, not necessarily because brands are finding these posts more valuable. They certainly find them valuable, but brands have a pretty clear idea about what they want to pay. It's probably more that influencers are more aware of what their value is, and so they are charging rates that are more in line with what their actual value is. Now, what will happen over the next couple of years, I think prices across the board will fall per influencer. The industry will continue to grow at a fairly rapid pace, but as supply goes up, I don't know that demand is going to be able to keep up with supply in the influencer space. We have nearly 50,000 influencers now. We're growing 1,000 a week. There are so many incredible people building a following, speaking to these audiences, building communities around them, giving advice. It's just a different world, and economics is just economics. You can't really change it. As more and more influencers come into the space, if demand doesn't rapidly outpace the rise in supply, then prices will have to fall, because brands will have their choice and they'll be able to say, that price is a little high, I'm going to go and pay $200 less over here. And that's going to start happening more and more and more and more. Those prices are going to come down. If as an influencer you are not prepared for that, it is definitely something that you should be thinking about. If you think that for 100,000, okay, let's say you have 100,000 followers right now, and let's say you're charging $1,000. I would be fucking shocked if in 3 years you were charging $1,000 for 100,000 followers on Instagram.
It would be less.
I think it would be less. I just don't know any other industry where as supply goes up, prices stay the same. Influencers who are new to the game, who are hungry, they'll lower their prices to try and undercut you. It'll start to become commoditized in a way. I mean, this is what you have to, this is, as an influencer, what you have to watch out for, and why you have to make sure that you have a unique voice and a unique point of view, is that if you are just a normal influencer like everyone else and your account is generic and looks like everybody else's, how are you going to protect yourself and protect your pricing? If they can literally go to 400 other people who look the same as you, who have the same tone of voice, who are creating very similar content, who are wearing the same brands, talking about the same brands, doing the same tutorials, if they can go to those people, then the only thing you have to compete on is price. That is a really, really bad place to be. You need to try and set yourself apart. You need to try and have something where if a brand comes to you, they can't say, there's 10 other people I can work with that are exactly the same. This is something Jamie and Beck and I have talked about. If you want to work with Jamie Beck, you want to work with Jamie Beck. Now, she is an artist, it's a little bit different, but look at Teza, look at Jenny, Margot, and me. Like, they have a very unique point of view. And if you wanted to work with those influencers in particular, it would be hard to replace them really easily with somebody else if the price wasn't right. So creating a really unique point of view is a good way to protect your price. If you're just selling impressions, if you're just like, I have 100,000 followers and so I charge $1,000 for a post, and you don't have a point of view, you will get commoditized and those prices will come down, and it will get a lot harder to make a kind of sustainable living off of that following. So you got to be more than an impression. You have to provide more than that. Because while you can make money off of that now, I just don't see that happening in the future. Question number 2. As a fashion illustrator, how can I pitch and work with brands? Do brands care to have someone illustrate their product? Here's the thing. Fashion illustration traditionally is very product focused. It is an illustration of a dress. That's it. Instagram is moving towards storytelling. It wants to hear stories, it wants real things, it wants authenticity, all of that. I do see illustrators growing huge followings who are telling stories with drawings. And I'm not telling you to not do fashion illustration. I would just say that, like, brands want a story, and just illustrating their product isn't a great story anymore for brands on Instagram. So I would encourage illustrators out there to try and think about storytelling. I don't mean to sound like I don't like fashion illustration, because again, I said I do, or that I don't respect what y'all do as artists, because I absolutely do. But I don't think that the world of fashion illustration has pushed itself as hard as it can. It looks pretty similar to how it looked 5 years ago. And I just don't think brands are as excited about it as they used to be, because a lot of brands have already worked with a fashion illustrator. They did that once, they moved on to the next thing. And like we tell influencers that are taking photos or they're doing video, you have to constantly be changing and evolving and pushing yourself and doing something new and different and fresh. Brands want new, they want fresh. They don't want to do something that people will look at and say, it kind of looks like something that we would have done 4 years ago. If you're a creative in any space and you're not getting work, I'm not saying change what you want to do, but if you're trying to work with more brands and attract them, you have to make yourself look fresh and new and exciting, and that brings people in. So I encourage you to try and push yourself, think about storytelling, think about what's working with traditional influencers, and try and pull that into your art. I think you could look at fashion illustration as a niche, but I would probably bundle it more with like fashion photography. When I got into social, being a fashion photographer was what was doing really well on the internet. My blog was about me because I published, because I wrote and it was my photos, but I was in almost none of my photos. And it was strange, people that posted photos of themselves on the internet, that just wasn't something people did. And now that is all people want. And fashion photographers don't grow the way they used to. Look at Jamie Beck. I mean, Jamie Beck, again, she posts a lot of photos of herself, but she is an artist. She's like 160,000 followers. It's fucking crazy. She should have 20 times that following. People don't want that. They used to. The internet used to really appreciate that and like it. They don't anymore. Fashion illustration is not, there's no person behind that. There's no personality behind it. There's this illustrator, Mari, I think something Mari Illustrated or something. She just put a book out. It's on the bestsellers. I started following her a couple of years ago, and her illustrations are all cute little cartoons, but it talks about her feelings, it talks about her insecurities, it talks about the things that she really likes about spring or fall or winter, or the things she doesn't like, or how she misses her boyfriend, or how her heart is broken. They're illustrations about her. The problem with fashion illustrations is it's illustrations about a product, and the internet just isn't super into that anymore. They want a person. Who are you? What is your story? I tell influencers all the time. I was sitting with an influencer the other day, and I went through her feed, and I was just like, who the hell are you? I spend 5 minutes in this feed. I don't know. I know literally nothing about you. That's what's the point? Why would anyone follow you? I mean, they could be like, oh, these are really pretty drawings. And look, that sucks. I miss the old internet. I miss when people got a following based on their talent, not based on, I don't know, the way they looked in a photo. But this is our world now. If you want to play ball, you got to play ball. You can't just stomp your feet and say that oh, this isn't how it should be. I should have more followers. If you want more followers, you need to understand what's working. And if people don't know who's behind the pen, I don't think there's a huge reason to follow. Oh, question number 3 is, I'm building my following on Instagram. I've had brands ask to use my photo with no photo credit, not tagging me in it, and no payment. Is this something you would recommend? Honestly, I'd recommend you take your hand, dominant hand, whichever one it is, palm to your face, middle finger to them. That's what I would do. If they are not gonna pay you, they're not gonna tag you, then fuck you. Don't know. Absolutely no way they should use your photo. Absolutely no way. The brand either pays or they tag. If they pay you, they don't necessarily have to tag you. That's the deal. Most brands probably will. If they don't pay you and they don't tag you, that is stealing, and you can have your lawyer reach out. And look, I had a friend, here's an example. I had a buddy posted a photo on Instagram. Actually, no, he posted a photo in Google Maps, in like the user-generated photos of Google Maps. A magazine found that photo, used it in their magazine. He sued them and got $20,000 for it. Now, he would have sold them that photo for $200, but they didn't reach out. They just stole it. If they take a photo from you and they don't tag you and they don't ask if they can post it, that shit is not legal. They have to attribute you. So absolutely not. If a brand asks for that, in the strongest words you can, tell them no. You are spending time to create this stuff. You are editing it, you're posting it, you're doing all of this work. They are not allowed to just take it and not do anything for you. Any brand that would want to take your photo and post it without credit is somebody that you should avoid like the plague. That is a brand of, I would say, loose morals. And they're not going to be, in any form, they're not going to be good to work with. They're predatory. They just think, well, I'm this brand, I can do whatever I want, and like, screw you. So I don't have much else to say other than absolutely not. Do not let them do that. And if you find a brand that posted a photo and they didn't attribute you, obviously I would make them attribute you. But then I would ask them to do something else as a make good. Because if you find a photo 3 days after it's been posted and they hadn't tagged you and they tag you, the fuck good is that doing you? It's not doing you any good. I would make them do something else. I would try and push them to publish another one of your photos and tag you, to put you in their Insta story in some way, to give you money, you know? Again, if it's more than an hour old, I would push for another post from them, some Insta story coverage, something, or I would send them an invoice because it's not right. And look, the internet is confusing sometimes, and it can be hard to find attribution. My mom sent me a photo the other day of she really loves hats, and there was a hat store in Spain that she loves. I don't fucking know where she finds this stuff. So she really likes this hat store in Spain, and she sent me a text message of a screenshot. They posted a photo of me from years and years ago that has been shared on Pinterest, you know, hundreds of thousands of times or something. It's all over Pinterest. It would be kind of difficult for them to find where that photo came from. I totally understand that. And like, I didn't care. Like, I don't care. I didn't reach out. I thought it was funny. My mom was like, that's my son. And they're like, oh, I found it on Pinterest. It's like, yeah, of course you did. But, you know, you don't have to be initially aggressive. You don't have to come at that and be like, hey, screw you, that's my photo, take it down, I'm going to sue you. Most brands, the brand in this scenario sounds like they're assholes and I would step away from them. But most brands, if they post a photo of yours without attribution, it is probably not malicious, and they probably will try and make good on that. If they don't want to make good, you know, I would push for an invoice or something, try and get something out of them because it's not right. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I'm done.